out when I say and when I must do something and I know I must do it, and I do it. I execute it, and that's what I'm doing right now. And that's what I have done. The training has been phenomenal. My coaches, my team.
Now you have 2 children, right?
2 children.
A boy, Conor Jr., and your daughter, which is always a great influence on.
Conor McGregor's ascent in the world of mixed martial arts, MMA, is nothing short of legendary. His journey from a young, aspiring fighter to becoming one of the sport's biggest and most controversial names began in the streets of Dublin, Ireland. Born on July 14, 1988, McGregor's early life was far removed from the glamour and fame he would one day achieve. Growing up in the working-class neighborhoods of Crumlin, Dublin, McGregor was introduced to the world of combat sports by his father, who was an amateur boxer. Conor McGregor's journey to greatness began when he started training in boxing at the age of 12. His transition into MMA was almost serendipitous, as he was drawn to the sport's combination of striking, wrestling, and submissions. McGregor's first foray into MMA was marked by his debut in 2008, where he fought in small promotions. At the time, he was relatively unknown. But even in these early days, McGregor exhibited a level of skill, charisma, and determination that would set him apart from his peers. However, it was not just his talent inside the cage that would lead him to superstardom. McGregor's larger-than-life personality and brash attitude quickly became as famous as his performances. The man who would soon become known as the Notorious made sure that people knew who he was. His trash talk, flamboyant style, and confidence, often bordering on arrogance, captured the attention of fans and media alike. McGregor's ability to sell a fight with his words was revolutionary for the sport, and it wasn't long before he became a household name. In 2013, McGregor signed with the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, and it didn't take long for him to make an impact. His first few UFC appearances were marked by his fast-paced fighting style and his ability to finish opponents with his trademark left hand. McGregor's rise was meteoric, and by 2015, he was in contention for a title shot. In November of that year, McGregor faced Jose Aldo for the UFC Featherweight Championship in one of the most anticipated bouts in UFC history. The fight was historic not only because of the level of competition, but also because McGregor's promotional work leading up to the fight was unparalleled. His mind games, verbal sparring, and ability to get into Aldo's head made the build-up to the fight almost as dramatic as the fight itself. When the fight finally took place, McGregor stunned the world by knocking out Aldo in just 13 seconds, claiming the UFC featherweight title and cementing his status as one of the most exciting and dangerous fighters in the sport. The double champ era. McGregor's unprecedented rise. Conor McGregor's success in the UFC didn't stop with the featherweight championship. In 2016, McGregor made history again by becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold 2 championship belts simultaneously. He accomplished this feat when he defeated Eddie Alvarez for the UFC Lightweight Championship at Madison Square Garden. The victory was a masterclass in striking, as McGregor showcased his exceptional precision and knockout power, leaving Alvarez unable to compete effectively. This achievement was more than just a milestone in McGregor's career. It symbolized his complete dominance of the UFC's lightweight and featherweight divisions. McGregor's accomplishment of being the first to hold 2 belts simultaneously sent shockwaves through the world of MMA, and his status as a superstar was solidified. The idea of holding 2 belts at once, something that was previously considered impossible, became part of McGregor's legacy, and his name became synonymous with greatness and ambition. McGregor's rise to the top of MMA was marked by his relentless work ethic and his confidence in his own abilities. Unlike many fighters who take years to build a reputation, McGregor's ascent was rapid. His combination of technical skill, knockout power, and charisma made him the most marketable fighter in the UFC, and he quickly became a global sensation. As McGregor continued to dominate the cage, he also began to expand his brand outside of the UFC, becoming an entrepreneur, a media personality, and an icon. Despite his success, McGregor's journey was far from smooth. As his fame grew, so did the scrutiny. McGregor's controversial actions, both inside and outside of the cage, often made headlines. His antics, such as throwing a dolly, a metal trolley, through a bus window at UFC 223 resulted in legal troubles and fines. This behavior further enhanced his bad boy persona, making him both loved and hated by fans around the world. Yet, despite the controversy, McGregor's influence and marketability continued to grow, and he was quickly becoming one of the wealthiest athletes in the world. The boxing match that changed everything, McGregor versus Mayweather. While McGregor's UFC career was skyrocketing, he faced an entirely new challenge in 2017. In a bold move that shocked the combat sports world, McGregor announced he would be stepping into the boxing ring to face the undefeated 49-0 champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. The fight was one of the most hyped events in sports history, and it represented McGregor's foray into a new sport. The build-up to the McGregor-Mayweather fight was another masterclass in promotion. McGregor's trash talk, press conferences, and relentless trash talking were iconic moments, especially as he faced off against the quieter, more reserved Mayweather. McGregor, who was known for his sharp wit and confidence, promised to defeat Mayweather, despite the vast disparity in experience between the two fighters. While McGregor's boxing skills were far less refined than Mayweather's, his bravado, physical conditioning, and unconventional approach earned him an enormous following. In the ring, McGregor faced a seasoned professional in Mayweather, who had spent his entire career perfecting his craft. The fight was a spectacle, but Mayweather ultimately won by technical knockout in the 10th round, extending his undefeated record. While McGregor did not win, the event proved to be an enormous financial success, and McGregor's ability to market himself on such a large stage reinforced his status as a global superstar. The McGregor-Mayweather fight was more than just a boxing match. It was an event that transcended combat sports. McGregor was able to generate massive pay-per-view numbers, and the fight solidified his status as one of the most influential and financially successful athletes in the world. While McGregor may have lost the fight, he won in every other sense of the word, further expanding his global brand and building his legacy. The comeback and UFC return, Conor McGregor's quest for redemption. After the Mayweather fight, McGregor took a hiatus from MMA to focus on his personal life and business ventures. During this time, he launched his own whiskey brand, Proper Number 12, which became a massive commercial success and added to his already significant wealth. Despite his success outside of the cage, fans and critics alike questioned when, or if, McGregor would return to MMA. In 2018, McGregor made his long-awaited return to the UFC, facing Khabib Nurmagomedov for the UFC Lightweight Championship. The build-up to this fight was intense, with both fighters engaging in personal and heated exchanges. The rivalry between McGregor and Khabib was marked by animosity, and McGregor's trash talk reached new heights, targeting Khabib's religion, family, and background. The lead-up to the fight was filled with controversy, culminating in the infamous post-fight brawl when Khabib leaped over the cage and charged toward McGregor's corner. In the cage, McGregor was outclassed by Khabib, who dominated him from start to finish before submitting him in the 4th round. The loss was devastating for McGregor, who had been the face of the UFC for so long. However, the fight demonstrated Khabib's exceptional skills and solidified him as one of the greatest lightweights in MMA history. After the defeat, McGregor took another break from MMA, focusing on his business endeavors and recovering from injuries. During this time, many wondered whether McGregor would ever return to the top of the sport, or if his legacy was defined by the dramatic highs and lows of his career. The return of the Mac, McGregor's resurgence in MMA. McGregor's legacy was already firmly cemented, but the desire to return to the top of MMA was strong. In January 2020, McGregor made his comeback at UFC 246, facing Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in a welterweight bout. McGregor needed a dominant performance to remind the world of his skill and potential, and he delivered. In just 40 seconds, McGregor knocked out Cerrone in one of the fastest finishes in UFC history, making a statement that the Mac was back. McGregor's return to the UFC was met with mixed emotions. Fans were excited to see the former champion back in action, but critics questioned whether he still had the drive to compete at the highest level. After the win, McGregor expressed his desire to once again become a UFC champion, and many wondered if he would be able to replicate the same success he had earlier in his career. McGregor's journey to reclaiming his title has been filled with ups and downs, but his undeniable talent, along with his ability to generate media attention, has ensured that he remains one of the most talked about fighters in the sport. The fall and redemption. McGregor's struggles with legal troubles and personal challenges. Conor McGregor's rise to superstardom has been far from smooth, marked by both incredible highs and devastating lows. Alongside his legendary fighting career, McGregor's personal life has been embroiled in legal issues, controversies, and public scandals. Many have argued that McGregor's brash, unapologetic personality, while central to his success, has also led him down a turbulent path that affected his career. In 2019, McGregor's legal troubles began to mount. In March, he was arrested in Miami for smashing a fan's phone after an altercation outside a hotel. Later that year, McGregor was involved in another incident in Ireland, where he was arrested for the alleged assault of a man in a pub. These incidents were just the tip of the iceberg, and McGregor's actions began to overshadow his accomplishments inside the cage. His off-cage behavior caused fans, sponsors, and the UFC to question his future in the sport. McGregor's public image began to take a hit as he faced both criminal charges and personal challenges. The distractions of his outside activities were seen by many as a sign that McGregor's focus on MMA had waned. He had already achieved immense wealth and fame, and some began to wonder whether he still had the passion and drive to compete at the highest level. These struggles painted McGregor as a tragic figure, someone who had once been on top of the world but now found himself losing grip on his legacy. However, in true McGregor fashion, he managed to make a comeback. After facing legal consequences and taking time to reflect on his actions, McGregor began to turn his life around. His focus shifted back to MMA, and he made public efforts to regain control of his life. McGregor's journey of redemption was not an easy one, and it underscored his resilience. His fans, who had watched him rise and fall, continued to support him, knowing that McGregor was capable of overcoming adversity. McGregor's return to the cage after a year-long hiatus in 2020 was a statement of intent. He fought Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in a bout that he won in spectacular fashion, knocking out his opponent in just 40 seconds. This performance, after months of personal turmoil, was proof that McGregor still had the skills and the mindset to be a champion. It served as a reminder that even in the face of personal struggles and legal battles, McGregor remained a force to be reckoned with inside the octagon. Despite his off-cage issues, McGregor's ability to bounce back and reclaim his place in the sport showcases his resilience. While his journey has been filled with bumps in the road, it is this determination and his unwavering self-belief that make McGregor an iconic figure in MMA. The future of McGregor, a legacy defined by growth and challenges. As Conor McGregor moves forward in his career, the question remains, what does the future hold for the Irish superstar? At 34 years old, McGregor has already accomplished more than most fighters can dream of in a lifetime. Yet, the hunger for more success, glory, and championship gold still drives him. But can he return to the top once again after facing the best fighters in the world? McGregor's comeback will be shaped by several factors. First and foremost, his health and fitness will play a significant role. After suffering a broken leg during his 2021 fight against Dustin Poirier, McGregor's recovery became a focal point for his return. The injury sidelined him for over a year, and many wondered if the same explosive fighter who took the world by storm would return. The second challenge for McGregor is his ability to stay motivated in a sport that has evolved since his peak. The competition is fiercer than ever, with rising stars like Islam Makhachev, Charles Oliveira, and Khamzat Chimaev making waves in the lightweight and welterweight divisions. The landscape of MMA has changed, and McGregor will have to adapt if he wants to stay relevant. Moreover, McGregor's forays into the business world, such as his highly successful whiskey brand, Proper Number 12, could either serve as a distraction or enhance his legacy. While McGregor has proven himself to be an astute businessman, balancing a flourishing empire outside the cage with the grind required to be a top-level fighter is no easy feat. Some critics argue that his commercial ventures could pull him away from his fighting career, while others believe they represent a natural evolution for an athlete who has already conquered the cage. McGregor's relationship with the UFC and his role within the organization will also play a crucial part in his future. While Dana White, the UFC president, has been a staunch supporter of McGregor, it remains to be seen if the UFC will continue to prioritize him for title shots or promotional events. McGregor's history with the organization, coupled with his immense draw at the box office, suggests that the UFC will continue to market him as one of its biggest stars. But whether McGregor will be able to reclaim the top spot and become a champion once again is another question entirely. Despite the challenges, McGregor's legacy in MMA is undeniable. His impact on the sport is immeasurable, and his role in the UFC's rise to mainstream popularity cannot be overstated. McGregor's flair for self-promotion, combined with his fighting talent, revolutionized how fighters approached their careers, creating an era where athletes are as much entertainers as they are competitors. In the end, the future of Conor McGregor is uncertain, but one thing is clear: his journey will continue to captivate audiences around the world. Whether he can overcome the obstacles and reclaim his place at the top of the UFC remains to be seen. But if there's one thing we know about McGregor, it's that he will continue to fight for greatness, both inside the octagon and in the business world. His story, defined by triumph and hardship, will continue to inspire fans, and no matter what happens, Conor McGregor's place in MMA history is secure. Conor McGregor's legacy: a fighter, entrepreneur, and icon. Conor McGregor's legacy will be defined by more than just his accomplishments in the cage. His influence on MMA, combat sports, and pop culture is undeniable. He revolutionized how fighters approach promotion, marketing, and self-promotion, and his impact on the UFC's growth cannot be overstated. Beyond his fighting career, McGregor's entrepreneurial ventures, his wealth, and his global brand have made him one of the most successful athletes of all time. He has inspired millions with his journey from poverty to fame, proving that hard work, belief in oneself, and a relentless attitude can take you to places you never imagined. As the Notorious continues to evolve, it remains to be seen what the future holds for Conor McGregor. But one thing is certain: his impact on MMA and combat sports as a whole is undeniable, and his story will continue to inspire fighters and fans for generations to come.